Okay. All right. Good morning. We are going to start our lesson. Today is Wednesday, November 10th, and we are going to start phonics today. Phonics. By the end of this lesson, I'll be able to use snap words and stretch out words I don't know. Are you ready to repeat after me?
Yes.
Yes. Let me get this. Whoop. I'm gonna share my screen like this. Oh, I think it's Liam. Let me let Liam in. There he is. Hi, Liam.
Hi.
Oh, all right. Hi, Liam. Here we go. All right. Ready? Repeat after me. By the end of this lesson,
By the end of this lesson,
I will be able to use snap words and stretch out words I don't know. Perfect. So we are going to, oh, please stop talking if you're in class. We are going to use a different board. We're going to be right here. And I'm going to scooch this back. Adeline, you can put your necklace on, sweetie. I'm going to use this. And I'm going to face towards this right here. Ready? Can everyone see over here? You need to be looking at me, not at the screen. Let me change this. There you go. So you need to be looking at me, not at that screen, okay? So I put all of our sight words on cards. And I have extra cards over here so that we can create a message with our cards. And then I'll write words that we need to stretch out in a different color. I'll write them in blue. Okay, so I'm gonna put up all of our sight words so we can see them. Adam, if you can't see, you can come sit on the floor next to Aubrey. Whoop. Adam, come sit next to Aubrey on the floor. I've got all of these, and let me really quickly on Zoom, I can turn around my video so that it can mirror it. There we go. Okay, now you can see it. Okay, so I'm going to add all these words. Look at all of these sight words that we have. Come over a little bit. I know, look at all of these words. Woo! Okay, look at all of these sight words, and I'll put you down a little bit. I mean, we have learned so many words this year so far. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our cards and make a sentence, okay? We're going to take our cards and make a sentence. So, okay, you ready? Quinn, I need you to put that away. We don't bring fidgets to school. Alexandria, we ready? So let's look. Look at our words. Oh, I see a sentence we could make. Does anyone else see something you could make? Yeah. Madison, what do you have? Yeah. Okay, tell me a sentence that we could use our sight words. A sentence has lots of words in it. So, for example, are you ready? You see
What's the sheet?
see me, and then I would put a question mark. So can
What's the sheet?
I'm gonna put these. Here's a sentence. Can you see? Do you know a sentence? Kelsey, what do you have?
Emoji.
I can see.
Emoji.
I can see. I can
You.
see.
少し間
I.
You. Why? もう
I see a. Okay, we're gonna stretch a word. I see a, and what word are we stretching, Eli? See a what? I see a play. Oh, look. Play. So we need to stretch out ground. Are you ready? Go, go, go. Ow. It's 2 letters. O. O-U. Good job. Okay, ready? I see a playground. Eli, that's awesome. Who else has one? Let me get the words up. Okay, Aubrey, what do we have? I can see cat. Let's stretch out cat. Aubrey, ready? See. Oh, hold on. Aubrey's helping us. We've got C. A. Good job. Are you ready? I can see
Daddy.
a cat. Good job. Let me get the words back, or the words back up. Yep.
Your coffee done.
Okay, let's try someone else. Joshua. I
Hey, coffee. Rope in yeah. I said grumbling.
dog. Joshua. Dog. Oh, go. Ready? I can see a dog. Whoa. All right, let me put him back. Lucas. I love. Okay, so we gotta spell love. Lucas, I think you already know how to spell love. Do you know how to spell it? Okay, what is it? I love tiger. I. G, g. Close. There is.
E.
Yep.
R. E-R.
Good job. Are you ready? You ready to look at this sentence? I love a tiger. We are
What?
adding so many words. Katie, what you got? I love the elephant. Woo! Tricky one. What do we start with, Katie?
L.
L. Eh. A sound is PH. Ah. Apple. Nest. Okay, ready? I love the elephant. All right, we're gonna do one more for today. Nabil. Like is not a sight word. Are you ready? Like. Oh. I. Okay. And we've got that tricky E. I like. I like a school, or how about I like the school? School, let's spell school. Not cease. This one's tricky. I'm just gonna spell it. School, ready? I like the school. Okay. So we're gonna do this again tomorrow. And if you remember, Mrs. Bryant will be out tomorrow, so you can help your guest teacher with the words. And I've got some new words that we've already written down. So I will have that ready for the guest teacher. All right, let's move on to reading. Reading, I'm gonna put it up here on the board for you. We have a brand new Cinderella story. Oh, friends, repeat after me by the end of this lesson.
By the end of this lesson,
I will be able to
I will be able to
use my book talk power
use my book talk power
to talk about the characters in this Cinderella story. Talk about the characters in this Cinderella story. This story is called The Rough-Faced Girl. It is one of my favorite Cinderella stories. Lucas, Isaac, Joshua. It is one of my favorites, Madison, because the pictures are beautiful. And I love a good story with beautiful pictures. It also is lovely because the rough-faced girl is a very kind person. So I hope that you like it. I'm going to press. Oh. I'm going to stop my share. I'm going to get it onto YouTube for us. Three, two, one. Here we go.
You should get The Rough-Faced Girl.
All right, let me
by
share.
Rose Martin and David Shannon. Once, long ago, there was a village by the shores of Lake Ontario. On some of the other wigwams of this village stood one great huge wigwam. Painted on its sides were pictures of the sun, moon, stars, plants, trees, and animals. And inside this wigwam, there was said to live a very great, rich, powerful, and supposedly handsome invisible being. However, no one could see him except his sister, who lived there too. Many women wanted to marry this invisible being, but his sister said only the one who can see him can marry him. Now, in this village, there lived a poor man who had 3 daughters. The 2 older daughters were cruel and hard-hearted, and they made their youngest sister sit by the fire and feed the flames. When the burning branches popped, the sparks fell on her. In time, her hands became burnt and scarred. Her arms too became rough and scarred. Even her face was marked by the fire, and her beautiful long black hair hung ragged and charred. And those 2 older sisters laughed at her, saying, "Ha, you're ugly, you rough-faced girl." And they made her life very lonely and miserable indeed. One day, these 2 older sisters went to their father and said, "Father, give us some necklaces, give us some new buckskin dresses, give us some pretty beaded moccasins. We're going to marry the invisible being." So their father gave them these things. Dressed in their finest, the 2 girls marched through the village. All the people pointed and stared. "Look at those beautiful girls," they said. "Surely they shall marry the invisible being." And if those 2 girls were proud and hard-hearted before, they were even prouder now. They walked haughtily through the village. At last, they came to the wigwam of the invisible being, and there was his sister, waiting. "Why have you come?" she asked. "We want to marry the invisible being," they answered. "That's why we're here." "If you want to marry my brother," she replied, "you have to have seen him. Tell me, have you seen the invisible being?" "Of course we've seen him," they insisted. "Can't you see how pretty we are? Can't you see the beautiful clothes we wear? Oh yes, anyone can tell that we've truly seen the invisible being." "All right," she said quietly, "if you think you've seen him, then tell me, what's his bow made of?" And suddenly her voice was swift as lightning and strong as thunder. "His bow?" they stammered in surprise. "His bow. We know." But turning desperately to one another, they whispered, "What shall we say?" "Let's say it's the oak tree." So they said, "It's the great oak tree." "No," said the sister of the invisible being. "No." Oh, she saw at once how they lied. "Tell me," she continued, "if you think you've seen my brother, the invisible being, then what's the runner of his sled made of?" We know," cried those 2 sisters, but whispering feverishly again, they wondered, "What shall we say? What shall we say?" "Let's say it's the green willow branch." "No," said the sister when she heard. "No, you have not seen my brother. Now go home." "Just test us fairly," they exclaimed. "We've seen him. Just don't ask us all these silly questions." "All right," said the sister of the invisible being. "Come with me." And she took them back to the great wigwam and sat them in the seats furthest from the entrance, the guest seats. Soon they heard footsteps coming along the path. Then something stepped inside. Though they heard breathing, the 2 sisters still couldn't see a thing. Suddenly a great bow and a beaded quiver of arrows appeared in the air and were set down. But though those 2 girls sat there, their eyes wide, all through that night they never saw a thing more. And in the morning they had to go home, ashamed. The next day the rough-faced girl went to her father and said, "Father, may I please have some beads? May I please have a new buckskin dress and some pretty moccasins? I'm going to marry the invisible being, for wherever I look, I see his face." But her father sighed. "Daughter," he said, "I'm sorry, I have no beads left for you, only some little broken shells. I have no buckskin dress, and as for moccasins, all I have left are my own old, worn, cracked, and stretched out pair from last year, and they're much too big." But she said, "Whatever you can spare, I can use." So he gave her these things. Then she found dried reeds, and taking the little broken shells, she strung a necklace. She stripped birch bark from the dead trees and made a cap, a dress, and leggings. Then, with a sharp piece of bone, she carved in the bark pictures of the sun, moon, stars, plants, trees, and animals. She went down to the lake shore and soaked the moccasins in the water until they grew soft. Then she molded them to her feet, but they were still too big and they flapped, flopped, flapped like duck's feet as she walked. Then all of the people came out of their wigwams. They pointed and stared. Look at that ugly girl, they laughed. Look at her strange clothes. Hey, 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 go home, you ugly girl. You'll never marry the invisible being. But the rough-faced girl had faith in herself and she had courage. She didn't turn back. She just kept walking right through the village. As she walked on, she saw the great beauty of the earth and the sky spreading before her. And truly she alone of all in that village saw in these things the sweet yet awesome face of the invisible being. At last she came to the lake shore just as the sun was sinking behind the hills and the many stars came glittering out like a fiery veil in the darkening sky overhead. And there, standing by the water's edge, was the sister of the invisible being, waiting. Now, the sister of the invisible being was a wise woman. When she looked at you, she didn't just see your face or your hair or clothes. No, when she looked at you, she would look you right in the eyes, and she could see all the way down to your heart. And she could tell if you had a good, kind heart or a cold, hard, and cruel one. And when girl, she saw at once that though her skin was scarred, her hair burnt, her clothes strange, she had a beautiful, kind heart. And so she welcomed her dearly, saying, "Ah, my sister, why have you come?" And the rough-faced girl replied, "I have come to marry the invisible being." "Ah," said the sister very gently now, "if you want to marry him, you have to have seen him. Tell me, have you seen my brother, the invisible being?" And the rough-faced girl said, "Yes." "All right then," said the sister, "if you have seen him, tell me, what's his bow made of?" And the rough-faced girl said, "His bow? Why, it is the great curve of the rainbow." "Ah!" exclaimed the sister in excitement. "Tell me," she asked, "if you have seen my brother, the invisible being, what's the runner of his sled made of?" And the rough-faced girl, looking up into the night sky, said, "The runner of his sled? Why, it is the spirit road, the Milky Way of stars that spreads across the sky." "Ah!" cried the sister in wonder and delight. "Psst, come with me." And taking the rough-faced girl by the hand, she led her back to the great wigwam and next to the entrance, the wife's seat. Then they heard footsteps coming along the path, closer and closer. The entrance flap of the wigwam lifted up, and in stepped the invisible being. And when he saw her sitting there, he said, "At last we have been found out." Then smiling kindly, he added, "And oh, my sister, but she is beautiful." And his sister said, "Yes." The sister of the invisible being then gave the rough-faced girl the finest of buckskin robes and a necklace of perfect shells. "Now bathe in the lake," she said, "and dress in these." So the rough-faced girl bathed in the waters of the lake. Suddenly, all the scars vanished from her body. Her skin grew smooth again, and her beautiful black hair grew in long and glossy as a raven's wing. Now anyone could see that she was indeed beautiful, but the invisible being and his sister had seen that from the start. Then at last the rough-faced girl and the invisible being were married. They lived together in great gladness and were never parted.
Thank you so much for listening. Let me turn this off. It's one of my favorites. Okay. Shh. Voices off, please. Oh, voices off, please. All right, let's fill this out. So we're doing our retell, if you remember. And during a retell, we're talking about characters, setting, and today we're going to talk about beginning, middle, end a little bit. So first, our story is called The Rough-Faced Girl. And who was our Cinderella character? What's her name? The rough-faced girl. I'm going to call her Cinderella. Who else knows? Who else was in the book? They weren't stepsisters. They were just her two sisters. And who else? Not the mother, the father. Invisible being, INVISIBLE. He was the prince and the invisible being's sister, right? Good job. And this is a Native American tale, a Native American story. And so I'm not quite sure where this took place, but we're going to write a Native American story. Whoop. Okay. Who can tell me what happened in the beginning of the story? What happened in the beginning of the story? I'll turn you around so your friends can see you. Kelsey. Talk nice and loud. Were they nice? No, so they were mean to her. And so they did a few things in the beginning of the story that were really mean. Then what did the sisters do? Abby, what did the sisters do?
Then they asked their dad for more beads and a necklace.
Yeah, they asked their dad for all of these things like clothes and jewelry because they wanted to marry the invisible being, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did the invisible being's sister think of those two girls? They were mean and they were lying, weren't they? So did they get to meet the invisible being? No. Then what happened? Oh, Lucas.
The other sister came.
The rough-faced girl came to meet the invisible being, and she was kind, and she saw his face everywhere, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so she got to meet him, and did they think she was so beautiful?
Yeah.
Yes, and they ended up getting married, right? Okay, so today we are using that snap word power. We're using our picture power and our pointer power while we read today. So Mrs. Bryant's in-class friends, I will get you some books and then we've got some activities to do. My at-home friends, I'm going to stop my share real quick. I'm going to share, hold on, I'm not done with them. Please stop. I'm going to share, you've got your good morning video, rough-faced girl, letter sounds, see it, say it, sign it. I'll post the reading video. You can count to 100. There's your math video, the assignment. There's 2 writing videos because it cut me off. And then this was our Zoom today. Tomorrow, we don't have a Zoom until 12:35 because Mrs. Bryant won't be here in the morning. I already emailed that to your families, okay? Got it? All right, if you're ready to go, you can go ahead and go. I'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.